This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Denver Riddle is a professional colorist and founder of Color Grading Central. This is a learning resource for filmmakers and for colorists. However, Denver is better known as the developer of the well-regarded Color Finale for Final Cut Pro 10. Hello, Denver. Welcome.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate being on your show.
I'm delighted. By the way, I want to start with a short story. I haven't told this to anybody yet. I have never liked the rectangular color board in Final Cut Pro 10, though I like Apple's color tools in general. However, a while back, I was complaining about the color board, yet again, to Apple, and they immediately recommended Color Finale. So you clearly have fans in high places.
Yeah, really exciting, the attention that we've gotten from Apple.
What first got you interested in color?
Well, I started out my career as director of photography, and I wanted to have more control over the image from acquisition all the way to delivery, and so I saw color correction as an extension of that.
Now, did you decide to start the Color Grading Central website because you wanted to teach people about color, or did you create Color Finale and then create a website to support it?
What actually happened as I was first starting out in my career as a colorist is I found that there wasn't a lot of resources for learning about color correction. And so I founded Color Grading Central as a means for helping others to locate some of those resources and produce tutorials that I felt would be beneficial to others. And then Color Finale actually came along. It was kind of a natural extension of that because I really enjoy Final Cut Pro 10 as an editor. And I just felt like there were some tools that were missing that were found in Final Cut Pro 7, as well as, Apple Color, which is, of course, we know is end of line. And so Color Finale was my business partner's brainchild to bring some of the professional color correction software components into, of course, Final Cut 10.
All of our NLEs have had color correction tools in them for a long time. Why create Color Finale?
Well, we found out in the spring of 2014, there was a survey that went out that was conducted by Marquee Broadcasting, which I'm sure you're familiar with because I know that you participated in the survey. And one of the interesting things that we found was that more than half of Final Cut 10 editors were actually sending their projects out of Final Cut to another program to do color correction and finishing. And so we felt like, whatever tools were in other programs, we wanted to be able to create tools that were compelling enough that editors would be able to finish projects right within Final Cut 10. So, of course, that included bringing back the three-way color corrector. We introduced RGB curves, a proper implementation of them. And then we also incorporated a utility for applying lookup tables, which we had previously had developed as a standalone product. So we brought that in. And then there's also a really neat secondaries tool called the vectors tool that allows you to do isolated corrections based on the vectors, red, green, blue, cyan, yellow, and magenta.
But Denver, you touched on this earlier, but we have a live chat running, and Eric is asking, why use Color Finale when Resolve is readily available for Final Cut?
We found that a lot of editors felt that learning a new piece of software was really intimidating, learning a new program. And we also found with different sized productions and budgets that companies didn't have the time or the resources to send it out to a colorist, and so we wanted to help those companies be able to finish all within the Final Cut 10 timeline without actually having to leave the program and do the round trip dance.
The color grade, the color corrector inside Final Cut, which is now a standalone effect as opposed to being built into the inspector, is built on the color engine that Apple Color provides. Are you using the same color engine, or do I get different results if I make the same change in Apple's color effect versus your color grade?
Actually, ours is unique and different. In fact, we wrote our own renderer, I guess in a sense, color engine. We have the ability to implement ACEs, which we will at some point, and the lead engineer on this, he worked on daily systems for films like Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, and Thor, and so it has some of the best experience that the industry has to offer in terms of like color science.
So, you sitting down, I've got some technical questions for you.
Okay.
I just recently finished 2 webinars, one a week ago on color grading inside Final Cut and the one yesterday on color grading inside Premiere. So the first one, which is an easy one because I think you got the answer to this, but I got to find out what NLEs, what video editing software do you support?
Currently, we support Apple's Final Cut Pro. Adobe's made some really incredible inroads with integrating SpeedGrade in Premiere. It's the Lumetri color panel. So I don't know that there's as much of a need of what we have for Adobe products, though we do get lots of requests from Adobe users to support Color Finale in Adobe. If we were ever to, say, port it to the Adobe Creative Cloud, I think that we would want to bring Color Finale to a more mature state before we decided to go that route.
Okay, so far, Color Finale works just with Final Cut 10. So within
Correct.
that context, does the codec that we shoot and the codec that we edit make a difference in the color grading results?
No, it actually shouldn't. I mean, in our testings, we've thrown everything at it from Red Epic to H.264 type material, and anything basically that Apple will support, we can use with our color corrector. I guess I will say there are some minimum system requirements for Color Finale in order for it to run. Number one being is that users need to be on the latest, well, not the latest, but Yosemite 10.10 or later. And also their graphics card has to support OpenCL version 1.2. So that's pretty much any computer that was built, any Macintosh after about 2011 has those OpenCL 1.2 specs. But those are the 2 main minimum system requirements in order for it to run.
Okay, it's a wonderful answer, but it's the right answer to the wrong question. I want to ask the question again. Regardless of whether Color Finale will run, so we've got a late computer, we've got plenty of RAM, we've got the graphics card, does it make a difference in the results of the color grade if we're shooting, say, AVC HD or H.264 versus shooting a raw image on a Sony or a Red camera? In other words, does the source codec make a difference in the quality of the color grade?
Sure, of course. Well, obviously, if you bring in something from the Red camera or some kind of raw codec, you are going to have more image bits or data in order to work with. And so the more information, the larger color space or color palette you bring in, the more options and flexibility you're going to have with those type of sources.
So for filmmakers who are looking to have the greatest flexibility in color grade, in changing their image, they should consider the codec that they're shooting as one of the criteria before they actually begin production.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming more common these days for camera manufacturers to support log type exposures. And so if you do shoot in log or one of these picture styles that gives you a flat looking image that retains more of the detail in the shadows and the highlights, that's going to give you more options in post in terms of how you work with that. And one of the really neat things with Color Finale is with implementing curves, the RGB curves, you can go into the master curve and you can adjust that tonal range just the way you want it. You can just dial in the contrast where you need it, and whatever details are not important, you have that flexibility to decide what you want to keep and what you want to throw away.
Okay, thinking that we're now shooting a log C or an S log or a raw format, and I want to have good-looking final output, what should I set my render settings to inside Final Cut? Because I've got a lot of different choices for rendering. What's going to give me the best-looking color?
As far as like the signal processing or in your output settings, or
well, in the
ProRes 422.
In the project settings, I can go everything from ProRes ProRes Lite all the way up to ProRes 4x4 XQ. Does it make a difference which render setting I select if I'm going to be doing color grading?
I think 422 ProRes will be sufficient. From 422 to 444, this isn't something that your eye's going to be able to see, but there's certainly advantages with shooting 444 with regard to doing keying and compositing, those types of things. So 422 is a good setting to color grade in.
Does it make a difference if we're in 422 or 422 HQ? Does the extra bit rate make a difference in image quality?
To be honest, I actually don't know that. I know that the HQ is I guess, less of a compressed codec. As to if that's something that you're actually going to be able to see, that remains to be seen. And I don't know if anyone's done any testing to see, pixel peeping to see what the difference is.
I've done testing to test 4x4 versus 422, and there's clearly a difference if I can originate in 4x4 versus 422. But I haven't done testing between 422 and HQ, so I should add that to my list of stuff to check. How long have you been out, and who are typical customers?
Well, Color Grading Central's been around for 4 years now. My customers run the gamut from those that are enthusiasts that just want to make prettier pictures with the stuff that they're shooting, all the way to Fortune 500 companies that are purchasing some of the trainings, and also Color Finale as well. It's surprising it seems like there's a growing number of production companies that are adopting Final Cut 10, or they chose to stick with Final Cut 10 when it came out.
You have a wonderful demo of Color Finale on your website. I enjoyed watching that, although I had to laugh because you were showing the difference in color grading between a raw image and a color graded image, which is about as dramatic a difference as you can create. But for people that want to learn how the software works, which partly involves understanding color theory and partly involves understanding how the software works, where can they go on your website? Do you have a tutorial or training section?
I actually just recently released a tutorial on YouTube, but it's actually available on the Color Finale product page. Actually, when you sign up, you get at least it points to this tutorial, but it's available on YouTube. And basically, what the tutorial is over the summer, actually color graded a major motion picture that's actually being released this Monday, and the producers actually edited this film in Final Cut 10, and so when they're looking for a colorist and they tapped me for it, I asked them if they would be interested in letting us test out Color Finale on it, which they were they were reluctant to do it at first, but we made the case, and we actually color corrected the film with Color Finale. So what I did is I created a tutorial around this film and just kind of took users from, no understanding of color correction all the way to learning some basic principles of color theory.
And Denver, where can people go on the web to learn more about Color Finale?
They could just go to colorgradingcentral.com. Color is spelled C-O-L-O-R, the American spelling.
And Denver,
and, from there they can.
Thank you for joining us. So we're going to wrap this up. Please visit colorgradingcentral.com. Check out Color Finale. Denver Riddle is the founder. Take care. Bye-bye. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. To stay connected and receive updates from The Buzz, sign up for our free weekly newsletter now. Or you can learn more about us on our website. And thanks for watching The Digital Production Buzz.